But there's something I wanted to read
Yes.
to you guys. So I was on Twitter yesterday, and something caught my attention.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with all of what I read of that person's experience, but there was a line in there that I feel captured a lot of how I feel about a lot of things in Accra. Okay, and I wanted to share it with you, Bernard and Sky and Caleb, and also perhaps our listeners. So there's somebody, I think, there's somebody who shared his or her thoughts on a visit to Accra during the holidays.
The Christmas
break. So it says, okay, this might be tone deaf, but I'm willing to risk it. My parents are from West Africa, not Ghana,
the place, okay.
but I was born and raised in Europe. I'm now in Ghana for the first time, visiting with a friend who's from Accra. Before the trip, she kept telling me how excited she was for me to experience the beauty of Accra, how I'd connect with the people, eat at amazing places, and be surrounded by welcoming, friendly vibes.
Okay.
Now that I'm here, I'm not sure I fully understand. She sometimes describes people as lazy or slow, that is service, seeing people on the street, etc. But what I'm seeing feels like people are tired, exhausted, maybe even depressed. We've mostly been eating at high-end restaurants where prices aren't that far off from what I'd pay in Europe. If I lived here and earned a local wage, I don't think I would feel very motivated either, to be honest. And it feels like there's nowhere to just be without spending money, which automatically excludes many people. We've been going from shop to shop, restaurant to restaurant, and the whole day ends up structured around consumption. Yesterday, I visited some shops my friend recommended. A few were on unpaved roads with locked doors you had to be buzzed into, offering very high-end items. I'm not saying luxury shouldn't exist here, but my brain is struggling to reconcile that level of wealth with the visible lack of infrastructure. On one hand, there's what feels like structural neglect, like missing sidewalks, potholes, and on the other, there's this curated world for the lucky few who were born into wealth or have access to foreign currency.
Correct.
And then there is this dirty December where people fly in from the UK, US, etc., and go all out here. I just don't understand how the logistics of that work. What infrastructure supports that lifestyle? Is it not just hyper-capitalism and a kind of exploitation? Or I'm completely missing the point because I'm not from here and I've only been around for a week. That's what the person is asking. But the point that really...
You are 100% spot on. Whoever wrote this is not wrong.
It's not Dilulu.
She or he, his first impressions, I 99% agree.
But
read it again. Read it
okay.
again.
Says,
I like it. Read it again.
Okay, this might be tone deaf, but I am willing to risk it. My parents are from West Africa, not Ghana, but I was born and raised in Europe.
Okay.
I'm now in Ghana for the first time, visiting with a friend who's from Accra.
Okay.
Before the trip, she kept telling me how excited she was for me to experience the beauty of Accra, how I'd connect with the people, eat at amazing places, and be surrounded by welcoming, friendly vibes. Now that I'm here, I'm not sure I fully understand.
Oh, Bilal.
She sometimes... She sometimes describes people as lazy or slow. That is service, seeing people on the streets, etc. But what I'm seeing feels more like people are tired, exhausted, maybe even depressed. We've mostly been eating at high-end restaurants where prices aren't that far from what I'd pay in Europe. If I lived here and earned a local wage, I don't think I'd feel very motivated either, to be honest.
At all.
And it feels like there's nowhere to just be.
It's true.
Without spending money, which automatically excludes many people.
That's correct.
We've been going from shop to shop, restaurant to restaurant, and the whole day ends up structured around consumption. Yesterday, I visited some shops my friend recommended. A few were on unpaved roads with locked doors you had to be buzzed into, offering very high-end items.
It's true.
I'm not saying luxury shouldn't exist here, but my brain is struggling to reconcile that level of wealth with the visible lack of infrastructure. On one hand, there's what feels like structural neglect, like missing sidewalks, potholes, and on the other, there's this curated world for the lucky few who are born into wealth or have access to foreign currency. And then there's dirty December where people fly in from the UK, US, etc. and go all out here. I just don't understand how the logistics of that work. What infrastructure supports that lifestyle? Is it not just hyper-capitalism and a kind of exploitation? Or I am completely missing the point because I'm not from here and I've only been around for a week. Now, the part that caught my attention, for me, and I wanted to, that's why I was reading this, was the point about it feels like there's nowhere to just be
Yep.
without spending money.
Our spending.
So that's what caught your attention.
Yes. You know,
I
think
what
that
caught my
the-
attention.
everything.
Everything.
that-
Caught your attention.
So I'll let you discuss that.
Okay.
What caught my attention was the whole thing structured around consumption,
Yeah.
and the fact that I don't see the infrastructure that supports that lifestyle. I would like to comment on that, and it sort of feeds off from what you said about there's nowhere to just be if you can't spend any money. All right, it caught my attention, and then the other thing about most people, he thinks they are depressed. I feel like the system has beaten people. The political system, the economic system has beaten a lot of people, so they are going through the motions, and that some of that translated into the election result. Some of that, there's a certain tiredness, fatigue with government, fatigue with leadership, fatigue with duty bearers, and even with media sometimes. So this person is very observant, and I think the person's ability to capture what they saw and describe it, I think is fantastic. The issue about hyper-capitalism, you know, if people earn local wages and you see the way they live, I think it's a fantastic write-up. What would have been better though was if they sort of went to different parts of the country to then compare.
yeah,
This
but
is
the
very
person that was
Accra.
coming, yeah,
This is
promised.
this is very Accra.
Yeah, and I think it's fair because the person had been told she was coming to Accra. He
No,
or she
no,
was coming
correct,
to Accra.
correct.
Correct.
You know,
Hospital
and
bed.
for me, like I was saying, the part that caught my attention was, you know, there's nowhere to just be
Yeah.
without spending money.
You go to.
You know, you remember there was a period where
Yeah.
the malls were just full because it was a place
To be.
to be.
Especially during
Like
vacations.
you don't have anything. You
When
don't
the
have
students are
anywhere to
home,
go.
They have nowhere to go.
You know, and everywhere either you have to buy food.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can't. I'm sure on your regular you would prefer to just take a walk in the evening, and find somewhere to just sit
And relax.
and relax and read a book.
You'd have to pay.
You know, but where? The other time we're discussing the children's park, for instance. Do you pay to access the children's park?
But there's
That
nothing
way,
there.
no.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, but there's no.
You know, so all the places that now provide
Sucker.
this,
Have been highly privatized.
they are very
and
private
fenced.
and fenced and
and
very
become-
commercialized. You know, we used to have the Kimbu Park.
Now
Used to
it's
be the last. It was like the
Kimbu
last free
Gardens.
access. Kimbu
That's
Gardens.
now AMA Gardens.
Can I enter for free?
You probably could.
Is it functional?
At least when you came there for the food festival, you could see.
That was the one in the corner
Yes.
or the one in front.
The place where you sit to eat the Friday.
Where the greens are.
That's the Kimbu Garden.
That's the Kimbu Gardens.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. So it caught my attention because, like,
Yeah.
for somebody who loves traveling, you know, when you move around, sometimes you just want to. There was a time where I was visiting somewhere, and I was like, my mind was all over the place. I couldn't focus and everything. So I just took a long walk through a park somewhere
In that country.
in that country.
And everything clear.
And by the time I was done, I was like, okay, fine, I can walk back. But like you're always telling me, and I'm also complaining, if I decide to move from my house, I get to the junction, there's a sex worker standing there calling me. I take a turn to my right. They are selling cars. I go down the road. They have opened the pub. I move down.
Somebody's blasting casting
Somebody's
demons at 11 a.m.
Yes, and
Or
fighting
Catalyst movie on the
and
road.
fighting me over it. You know, I you see, when we're having this conversation, for instance, about moving people in the city, even the whole Kumasi conversation, and Sky spoke about dignity, he quoted the Constitution. Something happened, and I said, what about my dignity? We're always talking about the dignity of the people who do these things, but don't I also deserve some dignity?
Correct.
So when will my dignity matter? I can't drive around and say I want to walk from, say, Beach Road to Agbobulosi freely, and no, I'm just saying and enjoy myself, but I'm supposed to feel sad about the dignity of the persons who have messed up that place, but I can't just be.
Robert,
You understand?
you are so spot on. This is
What about us?
This is what I want to say. This condition the woman or man describes, which you have sort of harped onto the issue of places to be, I think it's a very sad commentary on our reality on two levels. The economic system and the political system we are running have conspired to create two societies.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the society that probably 1 or 2% of Ghanaians live in, maybe 5%, the hyper wealthy, who, because they can afford it, will either come in at Christmas, do dirty December, go to some of our places, and then go back to their country they live in. And a few here who earn a lot of money. Most of the ordinary citizens don't enjoy that Ghana because they don't have the money to afford it.
Yeah.
And we've gotten here for two reasons. We have, and sorry if I'm going here, we have followed a neoliberal economic system which has essentially worshipped the market as the solution to everything. So let me give you an example. Children's Park is not working. I'm very sure that in our politicians' mind,
It doesn't matter.
the easiest way to solve Children's Park is privatize
Sell
it.
it.
Give it to some private developer.
Yeah.
You can build some real estate
Yeah.
and then do a park in the middle so that the people who have houses in the real estate area, they can play on that
They
park
and their
alone.
children.
And
And
exclude
some of
everybody
this,
else.
some of this resort to market is even done by state institutions. So sometimes SNIT, they will build high-end apartments somewhere, or they'll contribute to the building where there's a small grass, there's a swimming pool, highly gated. So if you go to Chado, that's what you're seeing. These estates. So because the political leadership, their objective is not to intervene in the market to give everybody a fair chance. Their objective is to exploit being in office to get what they can through the market.
Yeah.
So long as I sort out my opponent, so we will sell Children's Park as an example, put up high-end apartments there. Our children will get to swim. We'll put up a shopping mall. They will buy food from wherever they want to buy. They will play football on the artificial grass. They will go to a very private school. They are okay. The rest of the people can go to hell. Whereas in civilized countries, the state is set up to say no. This park must be developed so that everybody else can benefit. But our answer is that, oh, let the private developer do it. If he wants to do a park, fine. If he doesn't want to do a park, so you can drive to the hill, Ebri. There are parks there that people go to, but you have to pay. Themed parks. The one that the state owns, Ebri Gardens, you can leave it to do anything he wants. So what is happening is that the political elite who manage the state, instead of using their access to power to intervene to bridge the gap and to create public spaces, then the word space I use is both in the literal physical sense and also in the figurative sense. They rather capture the space. So I'll give you a very interesting analogy. So for even media, they will take the space, they will own the media, and they will parade their people on the radio every day to speak what they want to speak. So they occupy the airspace and they occupy the physical space. So what happens is that the market is not the answer to inequality. The market is not the answer to ineffective allocation. The market must be guided. So you go to New York. New York have more high-rise buildings than Ghana.
Places.
Yet they have a bigger park than the whole of University of Ghana in the center of the city. Because even though the politicians there also like money, over the 200 years of existence, they realized that if we leave everything to just partisan politicians, they will destroy us. So there's an intervening middle that enforces spatial planning, that makes sure that you go to Central Park and sit there and read a book, even though Donald Trump has a $2 million skyscraper next door. He will not be the only person who determines what New York becomes. So the city authorities and the government allocate resources to balance the power of the market. Here, when you vote somebody into power, the first thing he wants to do is, how can I make money from this? And how can I sort out people so that we will share at the top? So there's nobody caters for the middle. So what this person is seeing is, on the surface, another example, the value of real estate in this country, in terms of Cantonment, Laboni, Adabraka. It's in the millions of dollars. Yet, the state is not able to even get 10% of that in property rate. Why? Because the people who own the property are the same people who come up with the law to tax it. They won't do it. Yet, people don't have houses to live in. The state has an alleged rent control act. But do you understand what I'm saying? So, and you see that sometimes somebody can speak about the state of a country without necessarily using economic jargon. This is what the person has done. So the ordinary Uber driver, the ordinary taxi driver is working their socks off. But there's no way they are going to reach, which is why it also leads to dishonesty. Because now people say, Charlie, me, I've worked for 10 years, so I'm not getting anything. I'm not justifying crime. But they begin to steal. They begin to cut corners. They begin to do different things because there's no way they can rise to the top living an upright life. You know, I interviewed the former VC. I interviewed the former VC of KNUST. When I finished, I told my people that, you see, they don't make people like this again. Professor Adakwa, is that his name? In his book, he writes about, he justifies, he says, he told you how he buys his first car. He does a project as a lecturer. He gets a contract to do a research for some international institution. He sleeps 3 or 4 hours a night for like a month to get extra money to buy his first second-hand car. He tells you how he builds his first house. He's a Presbyterian from Ibri. I have another friend who's also from the mountains. Says the first time he managed to take a car loan to buy a 4-wheel drive, when he was going to see his dad at the mountains, he wasn't comfortable driving the car to the house because his father asked him, "Enti we unyani free? Enti juma na uya no ahi na utu ahe na unya kai." So you get my point. That type of mindset of earn a hard living, work 40 years at the university professor, build a house at Adenta, take your kids to school, have a good name, is no longer there. Why? Partly because of also, and I'm very controversial, the message of the new message today, even of Christianity, it's not like that. The message is like Sky. Sky got into politics, he has 3 houses. You will get there in Jesus' name. Amen. So when they close, I want to tap into Sky's grace. I'm tapping like a palm wine tapper into the grace that made Sky come from she to P. So they don't celebrate the fact that he's done 25 years of journalism, he's paid his kids' school fees, he has a good name in society. He can't necessarily afford all the luxuries of life, but he's a good man. No. That's left for the catechist of the 1980s in the Kropong. Those days are over. Now, he must rise through campus politics, insult a few people, get a post, and in three years, he has 4 houses. That's the new Ghanaian that the 1% aspires for. So the people at the bottom say, well, then let me also do what I have to do. So for me, it's political, economic, social, moral, all connected, right? So the Dirty December is a false Ghana. The high-rise buildings at Laboni is false. The real Ghana is not in those places. The real Ghana is in La Paz.
Sound like bullshit.
You get it? So you can conveniently come to Ghana and avoid those places. And I'm saying that this is basically an unsustainable system. Because I've always told you, when the poor are pushed the one, they have nothing else to eat but the rich will not be safe. So because of that lack of governance that bridges the gap, you have an empty middle. There's no proper middle class in Ghana. There's the uber rich and then the rest of us. It's very, very dangerous. So this observation for me is a word to the wise. That if you are in government, your job is to build a society that people can earn an honest living. Go to how the Scandinavians do it. We tax the rich to support social services so that everybody can have a fair chance. If I send my child to a public school, I'll give you a last example. Yesterday I was on a panel. Somebody who had a certain condition says, even our so-called private schools didn't create a chance for this person to cope with her condition in the 90s. It was a Taito that the person went to that got that access. Taitos are not like that again. We have basically
ruined them.
So people are paying Sky, sometimes when they mention the school fees people pay in this Accra,
Yeah, it's outrageous.
and you ask yourself, the feeding amount for a basic school child in the public school is like 2 cedis or 3 cedis. Yet somebody is paying $3,000, $4,000, $8,000 a term in the same Accra. And the government looks on. All the government put their kids are in those schools. No government person will send their child to Kaneshi 3 or Polygon 1. And this is where all the masses go. And yet we announce GDP. So I am saying that we have created a certain fake thing, and I call it the astroturf economy. I mean, it's a very serious thing. And we need to think deeply about how to make the system fairer for everybody. It's a very, very, very eloquent, cryptic.
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
And just before Susu comes in, like I grew up in Dansoman, where the beach was fairly not far away from us. And I see a lot of, I'm mentioning this because I see a lot of, like, the beach is a place where a lot of people just go for solace, just to, feel closer, some silence, mentally.
Soccer.
And it didn't cost money. Which beach in Accra are you going to? Perhaps the ones in the Volta region these days, I think you can enter for free. You can still enter for free.
You can't even walk at Dansoman on a walk. There are very few places in Accra, unless you go to maybe East Airport and those kind of places where maybe
you can't walk.
They have pavement. Even the road they build from Ajingano, American House Junction to Ajingano, there's no pavement. The road is nice. People are speeding. Where are you going to walk? So we don't even build with the mindset that walking is part of what a civilized society should do. Once people have cars and they can speed, they are living their life. Go to East Legon. Yeah, for me, it's a cocktail of false.
So yeah,
it's terrible.
It caught my attention this morning.
Fantastic.
I just feel we need to get a lot more places where people can just be, and it mustn't be about we must buy something or we must spend money or something. I should be able to call Sky and say, Charlie, Sky, let's go for a walk and meet in the middle of town and sit, and we finish and we go back to our homes. And it would have cost us our fuel if we don't live close together. That's all I'm saying.
But the market will not do that for you if the local authority and our governance does not insist on public spaces. The market will build a high-end apartments because there's a lot of money laundering and washing of money from different places. So there will always, people have houses that for 3 years nobody has lived in, and they won't lower the rent because it's a store of value.
Yeah.
And a country that claims that its tax to GDP ratio is lower than Sub-Saharan Africa, but has not had a cogent plan for property tax, is not a serious country. Your tax GDP is 14%. You're always shouting that people don't pay enough tax. You have a house in Accra that is $1 million. Even places in the US, houses are more expensive in Accra than the US. And yet in the US, you will pay. Yet in Ghana, you won't tax them. Then you're going to be chasing Paul Amokola that they should pay Lampu or whatever you call it. You are not serious. All right, here are some reactions to the conversation about the
just finding places to go.
The
Accra and the cost of it.
I think Susu used the right word. It says the Accra syndrome.
Yeah, the Accra syndrome. It says the system has broken even the strongest people. You are right. We are fatigued. You even pay to enter the beach.
Sad.
Yeah. Alvinio from Akosombo says, Ben, I agree with the person who sent the message because even the beaches in Accra have been hijacked by private individuals. But there is hope outside Accra, like Aplao. You can sit and relax at the beach in peace and chop your kebab without paying for being at the beach. Good morning, guys. I think we are missing a big point. The issue raised by Godfred is a cultural thing. Food brings us together. We Ghanaians by nature don't eat alone. Food is a communal thing. So in modern Ghana, if friends want to meet, it's normally around the food joint, kebab, or some drinks. No, I think you rather missed the point, Kobe.
He's missed it.
Completely.
He's missed it.
Can Godfred share the link? I think it's on our Twitter handle, so you can check Citi 97.3 FM, our Twitter handles. The person is 99% correct. In Accra, almost everything revolves around consumption. Even taking someone on a date always means going to some expensive restaurant to buy food and drink. It's a serious issue, Courage from Koforidia says. Accra is a depressing place. I do not know what's the most affordable food these days is. When I was younger, kinky, gobe, and roasted plantain were seen as basic, but now they're very expensive. It's sad. I'm tired. Justice from Pantime. Nidako. Oh, is that my own Nidako True Blue? From Aurora in Colorado says, good morning. I am born and bred in Accra, and I'm very excited at every opportunity to come back home. But I won't return to Accra if I visit as a tourist. Accra is dirty, filthy, and congested. Compared to where I come from, Accra is being managed backwards as a city, and the reality breaks my heart. Good morning.
Morning.
Please talk about our beaches also. They've all been taken over. You can't walk to the beach freely to sit and even just enjoy breeze. This is Steve from Nungwa. Very sobering conversation this morning. The country is very close to something chaotic. Hi, Bernard. Property rate is not working because most of these high-rise buildings are owned by politicians and or their cronies. They will not tax themselves. The president self doesn't pay guy for the left side. Good morning, guys. As a professional in the built environment, I'm saddened by some of what I see in the way our cities are planned and developed. There are no public green spaces, no walking or cycling lanes. And when you are home, there's a church making noise at night, your neighbor is burning rubbish next door, people channel their wastewater on their streets. As for property prices and the dusty roads leading up to some of those properties, worse yet, they don't pay property rates. As for the problems in our cities, we can go on all day. What a joke of a country. I know, Godfred, keeping it real, you're my favorite panelist. All right, anyway, I'm escaping Accra to Volta for some peace of mind this Easter. All the best, guys. Hi, Bernard. The president has this on the sports minister's message. Said the president had instructed that the budget be shared.
Yes.
So that's why people were asking for it. I'm enjoying the discussion. Social inequality, starting with inequalities in education and housing. This has been an observed pain that must be addressed if there is any chance of healing the despair that afflicts so many young people today. People have given up on the country, myself included, and will vamoose at the earliest opportunity. Miaweni from Miaweni. Reddick.
With a name like Miaweni,
You have to Miaweni.
Don't run away, stay.
Reddick says it's a false sense of living and existing called settings.
Thank you.
We see people living and exhibiting lifestyles we all know they can't afford and keep up with, but that is applauded and copied. For the younger generation, it's a fake it till you make it. If you can use any means to make it. Once you get the money to live that lifestyle, all that you did, good or bad, is buried, and you become a role model based on your current level, but never your journey. It's a crazy state of existence and living. Hello, Bernard. I'm currently in Qatar, and I must say things are quite different here. I really wish our leaders could emulate a similar approach. I can go for days without spending any physical cash. After buying my food for the week, I hardly need to spend on anything else unless I decide to eat out or get some snacks. The transportation system is impressive. There's a well-organized subway system where each ride costs just 2 reals, no matter your destination. The maximum you are charged in a day is 6 reals. After that, every trip becomes free for the rest of the day. There are also free link buses that pick you up from your area and take you to the subway station. And some of these buses travel as far as 10 kilometers. Every community has a dedicated, well-maintained park with essential facilities like clean toilets, beautiful landscaping, trees, and plenty of public benches scattered around the city. I could go on and on. Every little amount of money here actually counts. 1 real can get you a loaf of bread and a drink. It's truly something worth experiencing. This one also says, guys, I don't know, but everybody wants to put their package on a high pedestal. Every basic product can be sold for very high prices because of branding. I'm buying kinky for 10 cedis in places like UPSA. Why? And the fish is also too expensive. Kwame from Medina is very worried about the price he's paying. So, Bernard, that was my small, headache this morning.
There was a part that that strongly resonated with me, where she says, on one hand, there is what feels like structural neglect, like missing sidewalks, potholes, and on the other hand, there is this curated world for the lucky few who were born into wealth or have access to foreign currencies. Bernard, if you look at how, and I was going to talk about our professionals, right? If you look at how they undertake projects, I'm talking about engineers, builds, yes. If you look at how they build and construct roads, even in the affluent areas, and you compare it to the areas where those who live there don't have the contact number of a radio station to report that the constructor is building a drain, he is dug a trench cut off the people. They are not able to cross. They are not able to get home. People don't have access to radio stations and media houses. People who live in such places. And I'm talking about places like Alogboshi, Akweteman, talking about the Odo. Yesterday, I was driving around the Alogboshi area. Alogboshi, yes, behind Achimota. Anyone who knows the Methodist church there will tell you that you can't drive from one end to the other. If you go through Guinness, you get to a small intersection on
He's
at
left,
the
the
top.
guy's left it.
If you go to the right, the constructor has dug. They are building a storm drain connecting both sides, but they've dug the place and just left the place for months. Nothing is happening. Same thing at Akweteman. Project is really slow. They're supposed to be fixing the road and drains, but you're not seeing anything. And I understand contractors. It's not even a government of Ghana funded project. This is a World Bank project, which means that the funding is available. It's something that is there, but they are delaying.
There's no consequence for this type of things because as I say, the political leadership, they are not really interested in the project. So it's about whose interest is it. If I can get what I need from it, let's do what they have to do. It's a very sad situation you are describing, and the professionals too. Once nobody punishes them for misconduct, it becomes a new norm. So until citizens mobilize to start saying, we will not have this kind of nonsense. All right. I was going to a place, old Ashoman after Ahmadiyya.
Yeah.
Samens.
Yeah.
Like 50 meters road, they've left it. So you drive on a tarred road, and for 50 meters, you are going through gullies next to an ECG transformer.
And with the rains,
and it's been there
terrible.
for 4 years.
Oh, but this is the Zongo Junction problem. Here. So once you come from Circle, climb the Obechebi interchange and descend from
It's
Royal
like
House.
you're in a different country.
Yes. I don't know why the project terminates immediately
It's
after
so bad.
Abusiokai.
It's so bad.
You
leave a good road,
Yeah.
and then you are in
Next
a gully.
thing, everything is terrible.
Now they started filling the road with charcoal this morning. On the right side, it's charcoal.
If we don't get public governance, leadership in the public space to work, we will not go anywhere. And this I say, private sector, private money, private investment, everything will become more expensive for all of us. We need to have better governance at the local level. And I think citizens must also play a role, because after this Ahmadiyya Ashoman place, they've lived in that thing for 4 years.
So again, it was a consequence of an election. So once the election thing happened, the project ended. That's what I understood.
They started it some time back.
Yes. So 2016. It
And they've
ended
left it
at
for
2016.
8 years.
Yes. So, and especially, that there is a drain somewhere. So that's a depression. So you would have seen a road sign on the right that says that this is a wet area, water course and all.
Material to do it.
So, but they've left it. And even that bridge, with time, its integrity will be weakened, because the volume of traffic that uses that side, I've mentioned this
why
before.
can't the people of they call the place
Old Ashoman,
pure water,
yeah.
Ablaje.
Yes.
They should write a letter to
Bernard,
their
even
MP.
When you continue on that
MP
side
or the
all the
MC?
way to
No, the
Ablaje,
MC, sorry, they don't have
terrible.
an MC, but they can write to.
that
But
entire stretch is
They should
terrible.
write to Elikplim Akurugu.
Yes.
And tell her to prioritize that thing.
No, but Bernard, I disagree.
There's no
Yeah.
MC.
No, I understand. But again, we've had
There are
that
professionals
conversation
in
about
there.
the office should not. There are several departments in our municipal assemblies and whatever that should be able to function minus
I get you.
an administrative head.
Yeah.
It employs engineers. It employs all kinds of people.
Correct.
Charlie, which reminds me, Charlie, yesterday I was somewhere, and the municipal assembly people had come to present a health certificate to the restaurant.
What more did he?
Charlie, I saw you. Yeah, daddy and about. But I saw your packs be mine. Charlie, they waited for 40 minutes
Wow.
to get their packs before leaving.
You don't mean it.
So in my head, I'm like, the next time you come for a health inspection,
Yeah.
will you even be able to inspect properly?
It's not easy.
Ideas to 50 Ghana.
We need a revolution in the way we see governance. I mean, that's where my conclusion is. I wanted to turn to something though.
Okay,
I
go
feel
on.
like you've read yours. For
Yes,
me, this is a
read
story
yours.
that caught my attention this morning.
Will you talk about the governance again, or you
you
tired?
I'm tired. I want to
Something positive
talk about something that I like.
uplifts you.
That is
you
working.
don't like the governance?
Charlie,
the governance?
I don't want to grow old too early. No, so I want to read the story.
Some of us want to enter the place.
No, I want to.
Yeah, see, this whole discussion, I'm sitting here and listening, and it sounds so repetitive. How many times have we had the discussion?
How can we do?
I think that we should make progress with this our local government, the structure of our local government systems, and it may call for a review of the act. I don't know what that means, but I think one of the ways to take a second look is to invite private businessmen and private individuals into the local government boards.
Okay, the boards. For accountability sake.
Yeah, so for instance, let's go to Kwewu. The municipal assembly there has somebody like Seconds on the board. Has somebody like you get me? It opens it up.
Provided they don't come and privatize what is public.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That it's one of the ways to look at it. Either way, there are pluses and minuses. But I'm just looking at how we can, if you like, get private energies into our local government systems.
But the reason it's a difficult suggestion is that the text we read, the public people have left responsibility for private people to take over.
Where?
And they're commercializing it.
You see, what the reason there are no proper public spaces is that when government is unable to do something, they allow private people to take over. And when private people take over, like the beaches, they create a barrier and they put a price tag on it. So we are saying that there's no the public sphere, whether it's education, health, or even beaches, is empty. No. Did you get my point? So there has to be better quality public governance.
Can I come in?
Yes.
And I'm saying that in achieving the better quality public governance, let's find a way of involving private individuals. That's all I'm saying. I don't know whether there's no board, but I'm just saying that if we have a structure where there's a governing board, if we can get accomplished private individuals who will see it as their contribution to their society or community, I think it can take us to the next level. The fact that you have private individuals in doesn't make it non-public. It's still public service. Okay. Now the talk about the beaches. Don't forget that the government doesn't own the beaches. Does not own the beaches in terms of land ownership. The beaches along from Elubo to Aflaw, they are owned by the communities. And the indigenous. And that's one of the biggest problems and a hazard to our tourism. Because they own it, one. Secondly, because it's their livelihood. Thirdly, they live there.
But they've also allowed private people to buy some of it.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's their livelihood. So whatever they'll do with it, that will keep them alive, they'll do it. Except we compare ours to other countries. But the other countries, one, the indigenous don't own the beaches.
That's correct.
And then second, they don't even live on the beaches. So the beaches are open spaces that can be used for anything. Go to Freetown, Sierra Leone. Freetown, just Freetown here, no. Nobody lives on the beach. So the beaches are clean and spacious. So you can do anything with it. So it's a 50-50 thing. We need a set of rules and regulations that can open our beaches up. Not at the expense of the indigenous, but with a fair distribution of revenue so that the indigenous can also benefit.
That is a big question for not just beaches, but all the tourist sites, whether it's the Kintampo Falls or it's a. But for me, you see,
so you can read your.
Despite everything, we need better governance. If involving private people is what to take, so be it. If it's bringing professionals into it, so be it. If it's making people apply for the job, so be it. But we cannot cede the space to just politicians. That's the point he's making. And I think
very much so.